Alright, what up, y'all? It's Metaphor, back for more. They kick the raw, represent everyone's you and I verse. Gonna get into it. Science, science. I'm doing time in the name of love. Shout out Python P on the beat, you dig?
No tears fall from my eyes.
Make the song cry. I make the song cry.
No tears
Fall from my eyes, I'll make the song cry. I'll make the song cry. Hey yo! Like one.
When the heart is darkest,
It's who miss.
so ever is the question of
What's American apparently? Time to witness. Co-defendant.
All the witness.
On stolen land, we all co-defendants.
Acquire the desire to face this, I'm still gone. Another outlet, I'm indefinite. In frequencies requisite. Put my foot in
Now I'm swimming.
Next up, anyone.
Targeting my marketing.
Dominate.
World dominate the government.
And we can link up as the gang, that's right.
Personalite like Antichrist.
And that's the kind of lines
Alright.
I carry your Bible
To the witch trials.
find another son of
In denial.
Now that I got my footing, young demon later.
Face another quarter bag of haze.
I bought a double casket, we could lie.
And die together.
Running this when
Ignorance kiss was bliss.
now all we got
Is a cease and desist.
bossjobs.com. What? Robots?
That's gonna Wall Street us.
No tears.
Fall, no tears. No tears fall from my eyes. But I make the song cry. I make the song cry.
No tears.
No tears fall from my eyes. I'll make the song cry.
I make the song cry. I'm still under the spell.
Peak low frequency cells.
Point and spraying.
Loud like chemicals.
Like y'all fools, they just
Tighten the noose.
Word to the day,
They just hit us hard with the cable.
acting able. It's just a fairy tale. Split the ties like Moses and when they killed these prophets, kill the prophets. Sound simplified the solar system tells the evangelistic. Palm reading through the next season. Sound misogynistic, my hieroglyphic.
Encrypted.
No tears fall from my eyes.
I'll make the song cry.
Now, all the scheming is cold grip. Waiting for the master change the marriage to narrative. What? All she wants is chemistry and stunt on the friends like Rich. I know ya. And ain't got that
Like this.
Till the brother pull out a piece
Off the hip.
Now you know drop.
Like New York. Hilltop.
Can't bring it to the grave. She can change me the life.
You heard?
3D reality isn't all there is to me.
That's right.
I feel it executed in the flesh. What you see, another spirit channeling. Full moon, new. What? Who knew mystic powers
Like you too.
After don't fall from far like you and see truth is on.
Subjective. I'm doing time in the name of love. I redefine each line. Alright, so let's get into it. We got the moon in Pisces with the sun in Cancer. So keep in mind, these are both water signs. So Cancer being a cardinal water sign, initiating and creating new ways of feeling and things like that. So essentially creating a vibration with our actions is essentially what we got going on. And keep in mind, the moon in Pisces is that mutable water sign. So being able to adapt to emotions and things of that nature. So think about the moon in Pisces like your raw boat, the raw boat, you know what I'm saying, and Egyptian mythology and things like that, floating down the stream and things like that. You want to have your raw boat have an equilibrium, things like that. And we have the sun in Cancer. Think about the sun in Cancer like being at the shore and things like that. So Scorpio is real deep in the water and the deep depths of the water and so deep that you can't even get a breath of fresh air. But the Cancer kind of sees the intuition of things. They're able to see, okay, if I step my foot into this water, I know what kind of waters I'm entering. And then the moon in Pisces, the Pisces is more about being in between the two. So being able to adapt to being so deep in the water or also coming up for a breath of fresh air. That's why sometimes Pisces get kind of confused with being air signs because they talk a lot and things like that. Not every Pisces is like that. You might have certain alignments in your chart that actually kind of restrict you and things like that. So keep in mind, we have the moon conjuncting Saturn and Neptune at this point in time. And Saturn is that restriction and things like that. So essentially, we're creating a restriction or a boundary to achieve a dream. We're either feeling comfortable with that or uncomfortable with that. And that's what the moon is all about. And based on your comfortability, lets you know what kind of manifestation you're on and things like that and what you're manifesting. And the Neptune being in Pisces with the moon conjunct in that, we're either feeling comfortable with our dream, illusion, and nightmare. So it's either we're actually achieving that dream or that dream is so far away that we have to kind of have this delusional optimism to actually bring it to reality and things like that. So that's the conjunction between Saturn and the moon, and also Neptune and the moon, right? Then moving forward, we have the moon sextiling Mars and Uranus, right? So keep in mind, Mars is our ways of initiating and creating a passion, right? Because being at home in Aries, essentially, that's where it does best, and that's where we just had the Mars in. But now we have Mars in Taurus. So Mars in Taurus is kind of all about making a practical way of having your intentions be played out and things like that. So kind of thinking and being more logistical before just going for it. And that's why Mars is debilitated here. It doesn't do too well here because you want to make sense about things before just having your passion be played out. And Mars being at home in Aries, it just likes to go ahead and do it and things like that. Mars in Aries has no problem going to war, but Mars in Taurus kind of have to think about it and things like that. And keep in mind, whenever we had Mars and Uranus meet up last time, it had it in 2020, and we all know what went down then, you know what I'm saying, things like that, right? Whenever Mars and Uranus met, certain things went down in the United States and things like that. Just keep that in mind, right? And the sextile alignment is all about seeing the opportunity. So keep in mind, based on the moon in Pisces, we're seeing the opportunity to have our dream be played out based on our logistical and practical passions. And then Uranus being in Taurus is all about that your rebellious or unique way of being unique way of being logistical and practical. So it's like, do you actually have a logistical way about going about your uniqueness and your rebelliousness and things of that nature? So yeah, keep that in mind. So yeah, I'm reading all my little templates. So that way I can go thing by thing and things like that. So like, keep in mind the conjunction is whenever it's within that 30 degrees, and the sextile is within the 30 to 60 degrees, right? So a sextile is a 60-degree angle, and then we also have the square alignment. So square is a 90-degree angle, which creates pressure. So we're having this square alignment between Jupiter and the moon. So the moon in Pisces, like I say, is feeling comfortable with your dream, illusion, and nightmare. And Jupiter, being in Gemini, is all about having our expansion and things like that, about our communications and things of that nature. So Jupiter likes to just be knowledgeable and wise about things without having to communicate it. It just has this innate wisdom. And keep in mind, Jupiter is also debilitated in Gemini because it doesn't do too well based on it being home in Sagittarius and at home in Pisces. So being at home in Sagittarius is opposite to Jupiter and Gemini, right? So Jupiter and Gemini, I like to break it down as we're expanding to find the puzzle piece that we've been missing. So it's like trying each and every piece and trying to communicate with the other pieces and things like that to see if this actually goes within this like a cog in a wheel, you know what I'm saying, to actually have it played out and, you know what I'm saying, work properly. And keep in mind, we also have, currently where I'm at, a whole bunch of rain going on. So like this Neptunian energy is a real thing, you know what I'm saying, being in that illusion or that dreamy state, you know what I'm saying. Whenever we have a whole bunch of rain occurring, we kind of get in that space of, oh, dag, like, you know what I'm saying, thinking about our lives and things like that, and our past experiences and things of that nature. So that's also an influence that's going on based on the moon conjuncting Neptune, all right? And then moving forward, like I say, we just had, I just broke down the moon squaring Jupiter, which is that 90-degree angle. And then we have the moon trining the sun in Cancer, Mercury in Cancer, and Venus in Cancer, which is a 120-degree angle. And the trine is all about creating an opportunity. So we're creating an opportunity between our dreams and our actions, right? So we have this harmonious circumstance based on Cancer being that initiating and creating our actions of that vibration and things like that. And then moon in Pisces is having us feel comfortable with our dreams. So essentially, we're taking action to achieve our dreams and things like that. We also have Mercury in Cancer, which is all about thinking and practicalizing, which is Mercury. But thinking and practicalizing our emotions and our irrationality and things like that. So keep in mind, Mercury doesn't do too well in water signs. It does best in air signs and does pretty well in earth signs like Virgo, for example. Mercury is at home in Gemini and Virgo. So keep in mind, we're going to have this opportunity. We're going to create an opportunity between the way we're feeling and the way that we're thinking. But it might be very irrational based on it being in an emotional state and things like that, based on them both being water signs. And that's what also creates that opportunity, because they're both the same element. And we also have Venus being in Cancer, and Venus in Cancer is like that watery love and things like that. So it's like that value and appreciation of our home, value and appreciation of our heart, because Cancer is at home in the moon, and I'm saying the moon being our most comfortable space or our most softest spot and things like that. So kind of like we're having a value and appreciation for our soft spot, so to speak. So we could also value a person, place, thing, or idea. So keep in mind, the place that you go to might be the thing that you value and the emotion that it gives off, or the ideas that you're having in your mind and things like that. You're valuing those things to actually have this dream be created and things of that nature. So keep in mind also that this is the waning process. So based on wherever you have Pisces at, this is going to be that area of life that you actually should be shedding things to achieve that dream that you have in that area of life. So like, for example, if you have Pisces in the first house, you're going to have to shed certain things based on what you experience based on this moon in Pisces in that personal life or your individual affairs or your personal affairs, to actually see, okay, what do I actually want to personally achieve? And I'm saying we have this in conjunction between the South Node and the moon, right? Because the South Node is in Libra and the moon is in Pisces, right? So that's that 150 degree angle. So a misunderstanding is what the in conjunction is. So we're misunderstanding how to achieve our dream based on our comfortable space and things like that. Like the South Node is our most comfortable space and things that we're used to, and the North Node is things that we're uncomfortable with, which creates that growth. So essentially, you may misunderstand that you're in a comforting space, or like a space that, when I'm complacent, yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. You might be in that complacent space based on you feeling comfortable with, okay, this is the dream that I want, but actually I want to feel comfortable achieving my dream. No, you actually want to be in a space that is creating this uncomfortability to actually grow. Not to say you have to be uncomfortable to achieve your purpose, but essentially you want to be in a space that's new and things like that whenever you're trying to achieve your purpose. So you don't get too complacent at this point in time, is how I would explain the moon in conjuncting the South Node and Libra. And last but not least, with the alignments, we also have the moon opposing Lilith. Lilith being in Virgo is all about that most embarrassing moment about our details, our routine, our pattern, or our health. So essentially, if you're unhealthy and things like that, you're going to feel uncomfortable based on you feeling kind of embarrassed and things like that. So the moon in Pisces, you might be in this delusional space and think like, oh no, it doesn't really matter about how other people make me feel about my darkest moment and things like that. I want to oppose that. But no, you might actually want to add on to that and see, okay, what are things that I could actually build on to feel less uncomfortable or less embarrassed about it, things like that. So essentially, like the things that make you embarrassed or things that are like your vulnerability, you want to actually make that an ego eventually. So like, say like an individual may be, I don't want to go too far and say they're debilitated, but like to say in a certain space, like maybe they don't actually know all of the grammar ways to go about grammar and things like that, and they can't actually structure their sentences properly. This might be an uncomfortable space that they're in. They may feel embarrassed about that, but no, you want to actually see, okay, well, how could I add on to this practical way that I am embarrassed and things like that, and how could I actually use this for my benefit, is how you would actually want to look at this space and things like that. And keep in mind, Pisces is also that religious aspect and things like that, or cults and things of that nature. So don't be kind of getting wrapped up in just being in your own little world and being your own delusion about things and things of that nature. So essentially, you want to be careful that you don't get too stuck into a certain state of mind, thinking that, okay, it might be delusional and things like that, but it's actually like something that I want to be a part of or something that I feel comfortable with. At this point in time, you want to see, okay, does this actually make sense? Can I actually build on this? Is this something that actually benefits me and things of that nature? Keep in mind, it's not just Neptune that's here. Like I say, Saturn is also here with this Pisces moon. So at this point in time, you want to see, is this actually a dream or illusion that I can actually build on and things like that? Is this a dream that is actually going to benefit me in the long term? Do I see myself going far with this? Can I see myself building on this whenever the Saturn goes into Aries? And then whenever 9 years from now, whenever we have, I think it's like 9 years, I think every every 2.5 years to 3 years based on retrogrades, Saturn moves a sign. So keep in mind, like if you don't see yourself doing what you're doing right now in the next 10 years, it might not be a beneficial dream and things like that. And I'll speak for myself. I see myself doing music for the rest of my life. I see myself breaking down the astrology for the rest of my life. Because at the end of the day, that's the one thing that's going to be consistent for the rest of my life. We always going to have a sun. We always going to have a moon. So innately, we're going to always be able to break down the Astro-Weather and things like that and give you the Astro-Weather report. So let's get right into it. Like I say, on how I was breaking it down a little bit. Pisces in the first house is all about that personal affair. And do you actually see yourself personally structuring your individual affairs and things like that? Is this a dream or illusion, a nightmare that you feel comfortable with building on? If you feel uncomfortable with that, you don't see yourself doing this for the next 5 to 10 years, then it might be a circumstance that you might want to see, okay, maybe this is the aspect that I need to shed in my personal life and things of that nature. And that's how you get to the higher octave. And whenever we have the new moon in Cancer, then you are able to actually manifest that and build on that and things like that. So we're going to have that full moon in Capricorn occurring again. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have 2 full moons in Capricorn. We just had one whenever Cancer season started and towards the end of Cancer season and things like that. And then whenever the moon hit Pisces again, is this actually a circumstance, situation that you could actually build on and benefit from? That's what you want to keep in mind. And then moving forward, we have the Aquarius rising, right? Aquarius has Pisces in the second house. So the second house is all about values of a person, place, thing, or idea. And keep in mind, you know what I'm saying, the house is actually derived the zodiac signs. So you think about the second house deriving Taurus. This is the space that Taurus is at home in Venus, right? Or Venus is at home in Taurus. This is the space that you actually want to find value in. Can you actually accumulate from the ways that you're being in this dreamlike nature? Is this a dream that you can actually value? Is this a person, place, or idea that you could actually value the dreams of and things of that nature? And that's how you'd be on the higher octave. But if you're on the lower octave and things like that, it might be a space that you're actually not benefiting from and things like that. And that might be what you need to shed. So you may need to shed this certain person, place, thing, or idea that you value. Keep that in mind. And moving forward, Capricorn, having the third house, being in Pisces, third house is all about your immediate area or immediate spaces or environment. And keep in mind, this is also a sextile. So the Capricorn's going to see the opportunity to actually be in their environment and procure those dreams and things of that nature. They're seeing, okay, who could I actually be in the environment with and who can I communicate with to actually have this dream be achieved and things like that. And if you're around individuals that are actually building on your dream, then you'll be in that Capricorn rising. This will actually be a beneficial space and you'll be able to see those opportunities. And seeing those opportunities, like I say, if you're on that lower octave and there's nobody you can actually communicate with and things like that, you're going to see negative opportunities. So just because it's a sextile doesn't mean it's always positive. Just because it's a trine doesn't mean it's always positive. You want to see what kind of circumstances and situations are playing out for oneself and things like that to see, okay, what is something, is this something that I could actually benefit from, or is it something that's more maleficent and things like that? Malefic, there we go, that's the word I'm looking for. Is it harmful or harmonious and things like that? That's what you want to see what's going on in your environment. Is this a dream that you can communicate with and actually see being produced? Then moving forward, the Sagittarius rising is having the fourth house being in Pisces. And think about the first and the fourth house. This is a square, a 90-degree angle. So essentially with this, for the Sagittarius, they're having this pressure. Is this a dream, an illusion, a nightmare that you actually can feel comfortable talking about in your home with, or something that's actually close to your heart? Is this a dream that's truly in your heart space? Do you actually see yourself doing this for the next 5 to 10 years? Like, can you see yourself standing on this ground based on Saturn's conjuncting Pisces, the moon conjuncting Saturn and Pisces and things like that? Is this something that you can actually build on? Is this something you could have your children learn and things like that, and you could actually hand down generation to generation? And that's something you want to look at based on being that Sagittarius rising. And if you're in that non-beneficial space, in that lower octave, you want to see, okay, what is something that I could actually have a dream be accumulated to actually benefit my home or benefit my family and things like that, or benefit what's close to my heart. Then moving forward, the Scorpio rising is having the fifth house being in Pisces, right? So the fifth house is all about the expression or childlike nature and things of that nature. So essentially, is it a beneficial space that you're expressing and things of that nature? Are you in a space that, I keep on saying things of that nature, my fault. I be trying to make sure I don't repeat myself too much, but those transitional words are things that are more beneficial than not. Not to get off track and go on a tangent and things like that, but the fifth house, like I say, being in Pisces, is all about expressing that dream. Is this a dream that you can actually express and see yourself expressing in the future? Is this a ground that you can stand on, this expression and things like that? So the way that you're expressing yourself, is it beneficial or non-beneficial, is pretty much what you want to be looking at. Is this creating a vibration that you can actually see yourself moving forward with, or is this a vibration that's non-beneficial? And if it's a non-beneficial thing, you want to kind of sit back and analyze and see, okay, how could I create an opportunity to express myself in a more beneficial space? And that's what the trine's all about, a 120-degree angle, creating an opportunity. Dang, I'm parched. Moving forward, the Libra rising is having the sixth house being in Pisces, and the sixth house is all about the routine, pattern, and the health. And keep in mind, Libra and Pisces in conjunction. So you may be misunderstanding what you're relating to in your personal life based on your routine and pattern being the sixth house. Is this something that you could actually see yourself putting on the routine and pattern in a dream that you could actually see yourself working on for the future and things like that? That's what you want to be looking at based on being that Libra rising. Is this something that you could actually stand on? Is this a routine and pattern that you can continue to do over and over and actually see benefit from it? So it's like those earth houses are all about, do you see a logistical and practical benefit from it, or is it non-beneficial? That's kind of what you want to be looking at based on whenever you have the moon in an earth house, so to speak. And especially with the moon in Pisces, right? The moon in Pisces being in that sixth house for the Libra is all about feeling comfortable with that routine and pattern. Do you feel comfortable with the way you're going about your health? Is it actually a space where you can continue to get up every day and do this and feel healthy about it and feel comfortable with it? Moving forward, the Virgo in the seventh house, Virgo rising is going to have Pisces in the seventh house. So it's all about that opposition. So 180-degree angle. Can you actually add on to this dream, or do you want to oppose these dreams that you're relating with and things of that nature? And sometimes it actually is something that you have to oppose. Sometimes people's dreams about you are actually in an illusion and things like that, and you might have to set them straight, being that Virgo rising. And you have to maybe relate with people that are actually opposite to you and things like that. So you have to either choose to be adding on to them or opposing them and things like that. So if they're actually not communicating about the dream that is actually relevant to oneself, you might want to set some people straight to get on the higher octave, being that Virgo rising. Then moving forward, the Leo rising is having the eighth house being in Pisces. So the eighth house is all about behind the scenes, secrets, transformations, and rebirth, and that Phoenix energy. So essentially, at this point in time, the Leo is seeing, is this an actual space that I could be in behind? Is this an actual space that I can be in secret or behind the scenes and see myself continuing to work on this when other people aren't watching? When I'm not actually shining, is this a space that I can actually feel comfortable in behind the scenes? Is this a secret that I can keep to myself and things like that, and then eventually bring to the forefront whenever people begin to see me shine about it and things of that nature? So if you're on that lower octave, it might be a circumstance, a situation that you need to transform to actually feel comfortable with that dream. Or if you're on the higher octave, you're doing things behind the scenes to actually have this internal passion being played out, and you begin to actually shine about it. And keep in mind, this is also in conjunction. So the Leo might actually be more concerned about, okay, what makes me shine, instead of what actually is benefiting me for the future and things like that. So you don't want to get caught up in that misunderstanding between, oh, people aren't actually giving me praise or appreciation, so this isn't something I should do. That's not the way to be looking at it if you're the Leo rising. You want to do things that actually benefit oneself, and you can see yourself being internally passionate for the future. The Cancer rising is having the ninth house being in Pisces, so it's all about the knowledge, wisdom, experience of the morality. And keep in mind, the ninth house is also travel. So essentially, do you need to travel to a new space, or do you need to create an opportunity to actually have this dream be achieved? Is this morality and knowledge and wisdom something that you can actually build on to begin to be more wise about? Is it something that's kind of giving you a dead end and things like that, and you don't see yourself traveling with it, and you don't see yourself going far with it and going far out? Because the ninth house represents, the ninth house birth Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is that far out energy. So keep in mind, are you able to actually be far out with the way that you're going about your dream and things like that? Is your dream something that's so close to grasp that whenever you actually achieve it, now you don't know what else to do? You want to, I heard a Cancer say something pretty profound. You want to actually have a dream that is so far from actually achieving that it's almost unreasonable, to a point that, like, whenever you begin to actually achieve it, then you're like, okay, I'm in a space that I thought that I would never be able to achieve this anyways, but now that I'm achieving this dream, now I can actually continue to dream even bigger. So keep in mind, like I say in the title, it's like, are you actually able to dream big? Is this a dream that you can actually initiate and create a beneficial circumstance from? Can you actually have this atmosphere be a beneficial circumstance that you're creating this dream about? Then moving forward, the Gemini rising is having the 10th house being in Pisces. So that, like I say, that the first and the 10th house, same as the first and the 4th house, it's also a square and creating that pressure. So essentially, as the Gemini rising, do you actually see yourself being comfortable with this dream and having this career being played out over time and things of that nature? The 10th house is all about your status, your career, and your blueprint. So if you're the Gemini rising that actually doesn't see yourself working on this dream and staying consistent about this dream and it being your status, then that might be something you just shed about oneself and things of that nature. So keep in mind that if this isn't a status or blueprint that you can actually see yourself working on for these next 5 to 10 years, this isn't a circumstance you actually want to be played out. You might need to actually shed that dream and shed that status at this point in time. Because keep in mind, we're in that waning phase of the moon. After we have this full moon, we then have a waning phase, and we need to shed things that are not beneficial to our circumstance so that we can actually fulfill new things whenever we have the new moon accumulate. So yeah, keep in mind the 10th house births Capricorn, so it's like all about that logistical and practical business and things of that nature. Is this actually something you can make a business out of, Gemini? Is this a dream that you could actually see yourself benefiting from long term? That's essentially what you want to keep your mind on. Then moving forward, the Taurus rising is having the 11th house being in Pisces. The 11th house is all about your association. I almost said status. 11th house is all about your association, your public persona, and what you're known for in the public space and things like that, their public eye. So another way to look at it is like, what do you be posting on the internet and things like that? Is this actually a circumstance, situation that you can see yourself being associated with over the next 5 to 10 years? Do you see yourself associating with this dream? And if it's a non-beneficial circumstance, you need to find a new thing to associate with, or say, okay, this is actually a dream that is so far out and delusional that it actually doesn't benefit me in the long term. And Taurus doesn't really do too much of that. You know what I'm saying? Taurus is more of a practical sign, but sometimes they'd be stubborn and things of that nature. So don't be too stubborn about what you're associated with to a point that you actually have a non-beneficial circumstance being played out. And last but not least, the Aries rising is having the 12th house being in Pisces. So essentially it's like, can you actually see yourself building on this dream? The 12th house is all about dreams, illusions, and nightmares innately. So essentially, the Aries rising is seeing, is this dream being played out? Is my actual dream something, an illusion, a nightmare, something that I'm actually building on? Do people see me in this space that's like, wow, this is something I could never imagine, essentially? You want to see, is this an imagination that I dreamt about and other people actually imagine me doing and things of that nature, and I'm the only one that could do it based on the Aries always wanting to be first? So are you the first one to achieve that dream is one thing you want to look at. Or is this a circumstance, a situation where you can see yourself following through and having new dreams about this dream? Like whenever you're in this space of this dream, can you see yourself having a new dream because you achieved that goal that you dreamt about in the past circumstance? So like I say, whenever the moon in Pisces comes back around, you want to see, is this something that I'm actually building on and things of that nature? And what I'm building on, is it actually benefiting me? And that's how you want to see this, the moon whenever it conjuncts Saturn and things like that in Pisces. So keep in mind, like I say, whenever we have this moon come back around to Pisces, it's always going to conjunct Neptune, it's always going to conjunct Saturn and things of that nature. So if you're in a circumstance, a situation you actually don't see your dream being built up, and you don't see yourself actually building on things that you could actually dream further about or dream bigger about, this is a circumstance, situation you don't want to continue with, and things like that. So if it's in that new moon, you want to have a new dream. But if we're in this circumstance, situation of the waning moon, then you want to see, okay, what is something I need to get rid of to actually have something be more beneficial to build on. So essentially, that's what it's all about. And keep in mind, we're going to have the new moon in Cancer kind of going left field of this moon in Pisces at this point in time. We want to work towards shedding things to actually accumulate a certain space whenever we have this new moon in Cancer, to see, okay, what is this, something that I feel comfortable with. So essentially, the Cancer is initiating, creating an atmosphere or a vibration. So we want to shed things to actually be able to bring new things in our space whenever we have the new moon. Then whenever we have the full moon, we're able to see, okay, what are we actually satisfied or unsatisfied with? Whenever we're unsatisfied with, we need to observe ourselves and observe our circumstances, situations, and see the moon play out through our houses in that certain area of life, and see what to shed about that area of life. And that's the whole key to astrology, and being able to see the actual astro-weather. And that's your astro-weather report from Metaphor 77. This is everyone's you and I verse. You dig what I'm saying? So yeah, you can find my email in the description if you're looking to get any kind of reading or things like that, just have any kind of in general questions. And I'm open to answering any questions because I'm always here to help and things like that. So yeah, much love and holla back. Peace. If you believe in all that.